Kanavos show, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. We've got a great show for you tonight. I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, but my friends all call me Kat, so I hope you will too. I'm the author of multiple books. They're all award-winning books, and they've all been Amazon bestsellers. And we're going to be talking about the book Chaos to Clarity tonight. Sacred Stories of Transformational Change. We're going to actually be talking to one of the authors in the book, and oh my God, her story was so beautiful. So, our world is experiencing tremendous change, and it affects us through the butterfly effect, the butterfly theory, which is part of chaos theory. And that idea is when a little butterfly flaps its wings on this side of the world or whatever side of the world you're on, it can be felt all the way across the world because we're all interconnected. We're all interconnected through universal oneness. So what I want to talk about tonight is how our love life is never over. We are never too old to fall in love. And sometimes the best way to fall in love is to get out of our own way. Stop self-sabotaging. So our guest tonight is Joan Chadbourne. And her story, I want to make sure I get the title right, is Share a Life, Are You Crazy? When I first saw her title come into the book, I said, oh, this is going to be a great story. And it was. And it is in Love and Relationships, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Welcome to the show, Joan.
I'm glad to be here. I'd love to share my story. It inspires all kinds of people, so it'll be fun to inspire all of you who are listening.
So, Joan, I've got to ask you, because I know the audience was watching, did your computer fall off? What happened?
Oh, just now? Oh, I didn't know people could see. No, I had a cup of water in the microwave, and I sometimes need hot water because I cough. So it was dinging, and I went to get it.
I thought maybe your computer fell off. Okay. All right. So great. So, Joan, you talk in the book, you say, it seemed like a miracle that Chuck and I found each other. Some would probably say we were too old for new love. So, Joan, how old were you when you met Chuck?
I have trouble remembering, but I think I was 72 and he was 69. It was just before his 69th birthday.
Mm-hmm. And so it gets better, because at your first meeting, Joan, you talk about you had scheduled an hour to meet him. And as soon as you met him in person, you instinctively knew that this wasn't going to be a typical meet and greet. And it actually lasted for 5 hours. And during that time, he hugged you, and you said his hug was only the beginning of an extraordinary event. Suddenly, I began to hyperventilate. This wasn't a subtle struggling for air. It was loud gasps, and people sipping lattes noticed. So take us through this. I really want to hear about this, Joan. So you guys decided to meet in a coffee shop, right?
Well, yes, but the prelude, I think, is really important in that we had been really emailing. I mean, we've been honest. We've been sharing in depth with each other about beliefs and hopes and all sorts of things. So we had really gotten to know each other. But, sometimes that can go well and you meet the person and it's like, oh, gee, that was not so good. Well, when I walked in, he hugged me, as you said. And I have never hyperventilated, but this loud hyperventilation. We were in this little coffee shop, and you would think somebody might have run when their partner is like coughing or hyperventilating all over the place. He just sat there calmly, and finally I stopped breathing so loudly and sucking air, and then I looked at him and I went, no words, no. My brain was gone. And Chuck, who had had cancer and had lost the ability to speak and the ability to eat, actually, typed on his synthesizer, "Don't worry, I'll carry the conversation." And even though here I am, just like, what's going on with me? I'm going, that's really amazing that he's going to carry the conversation and he can't even speak. It was just, it was, he just had such a warmth. He was easy with me being very strange. And we just started talking and we just continued. In fact, one of the things he confirmed for me was the night before we met, we were texting like two teenagers. And he said he needed to go to sleep. So he went to sleep and I'm lying in bed trying to go to sleep. And I just felt like the whole bed was rocking. And it felt so nice. I thought, well, this is nice. So I mentioned it to him after I finally got words. And he said, oh, I was imagining holding and rocking you as I fell asleep. Oh. And it was like, oh, we are communing telepathically. We are energetically connected. And I get tears in my eyes right now thinking about it. It was
That's so beautiful.
It was just beautiful, yes.
So let's back up just a bit because I have I have people texting me here, and they want to know how did you guys meet? Did you meet through a friend? How is it that you were texting?
Well, first of all, we were 600 miles apart because he was in Delaware and I was in Maine. And I would go to Delaware every 6 weeks because I had an elderly aunt and she didn't have anybody but me. So I go down for 5 days every 6 weeks. So that was one part of it. The other part was I had been on dating services, but I think they had sold probably both of our names. And I kept every day, I get this list of matches and I just went, ugh. And every day I just hit them all and delete. And this morning, June 12th,
They're going nuts.
They love it. Okay. It's a wonderful, it does happen. No, it can happen to you. But anyway, let me back to the story. I was sitting here at this very computer about to do a delete, and I heard this voice that said...
A delete on him? You were going to delete him?
No, I hadn't gotten to him yet. Deleting all these matches that didn't ever seem like matches. And so they were just a nuisance. I got off my mail every morning. Except as I was about to delete my matches, so-called, this voice said to me, why don't you look a little further? And I really do trust my intuition. And so I went, okay. So I opened up the distance that you're looking for people to be 600 miles. And I saw him. And well, let me tell you, I was not impressed. He had this little tiny picture of the side of him in a gray jacket. And his profile was pretty interesting, but it was like, no, thank you. Except, of course, when on email, if you click and look at somebody's profile, they get a notification, and then they can go look at yours. So very shortly, I got an email from him that wasn't like this nebbish-looking person that he sent his picture. And that was how it started. And as I was driving from Maine to Delaware, we were texting so much, I had to keep getting off the road to do the text. And I thought, this is going to be the longest trip to Delaware I have ever made. So it was online. It does work sometimes.
Sometimes it does. When it's meant to happen, it happens. So, let's fast forward a little bit. You guys have been texting, and then you had the meeting, and you're hyperventilating, and in the coffee shop, everybody's staring at you, and you go home, and you start thinking about what a wonderful full life you've already got, And is this really what you need? Not what you want, but is this really kind of what you need? And what happened then?
Well, I so appreciate, tears come to my eyes when I think about it, Chuck's clarity. He really knew what he wanted and needed, and it was someone to share a life. And I had never done that. I had, even when I was married before, we'd had separate parts of a house. We didn't even have a same kitchen. So share a life was a stretch. And it didn't seem like something, number one, I could do, or that was really attractive to me to do. Um, if you want, I'll quickly go on with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I spent 5 pages writing him all the reasons that we could not share a life.
5 pages?
Typed pages. Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to be thorough about this. And of course, his response, being so clear as he always was, I'm really sorry. It seemed like a good connection, but I guess there's no need for us to go on. We had said we were going to see each other again when we were at the coffee shop, but he was saying, there's no need.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like the end.
It looked like self-sabotage, didn't it?
Well, I didn't know that at the moment, of course. But I also looked, and on my bedside table was a wonderful book called Conscious Loving. And they talk about the upper limit problem, which means you can only allow yourself so much joy. And when you get close to it, you sabotage.
Mm. And do you think maybe that's some of what happened?
Well, it was pretty clear. Your words are perfect.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is crazy. What am I doing? And I spent literally days and nights journaling, crying, sobbing, trying to go, what am I doing? So I really looked at Joan. I didn't look at Chuck. It wasn't about Chuck. It was about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think using that practice was one of the things that made both of us really good partners with each other throughout the whole thing. So that was the first time I did that.
Mm-hmm. So we're not going to give you, our audience, the ending to this beautiful story. No, we're not. What we want you to do is go to Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change, which is a #1 Amazon bestseller on new releases, and the publisher, Sacred Stories Publishing, Reverend Patricia Caginello, has it on special on Kindle for Christmas. What a great gift for your stocking. And Kindle has a new thing going where you can order Kindle for other people. So think about that. And the stories in this book are incredible. They're just like Joan Chadbourne's story with her beloved husband, whom, the crux of her story is, here she was, a self-sufficient woman. Yeah, maybe she'd like to go out, but share a life at her age? Are you crazy? I'm all set. And yet, that's not what happened. So, Joan, tell us how our audience can get in touch with you.
My website is www.joan, Joan, Chad, CHAD as in dog.com. Or I have a phone, 207-232-5766. Or my email is conveniently Joan Chad, but the number 10 at gmail.com. So it's Joan Chad all the way through. The email just has the 10 and the .com.
Joan Chadbourne. Look for her story in Chaos to Clarity. Thank you, everyone, for being on the show with us tonight. Thank you, Joan, so much for your wonderful story. And I mean, the ending is really, really beautiful. We didn't go there because I didn't want to spoil it. It was so special. So stay tuned for our guests next week. We're going to be having some more of the contributing authors in Chaos to Clarity. Their stories are so profound. And a big thank you to Rachel, our producer. And until next week, remember, everybody dreams, but some dreams save lives. And some daydreams tell you, yeah, don't delete your emails.